it's me, Jesse Hamilton, on the other side of the camera. So you look at Holly's smiling face while I tell you about today's segment. We are going to do our series Ask an Agent, where we are going to talk about questions that are commonly asked from travel agents. As you know, our sponsor is the Magic Sewers Travel, so a lot of the people who appear on this show are travel agents. In fact, arguably all of them except for me and Holly's husband. So, today's topic for Ask an Agent is going to be carry-on luggage, the do's, the don'ts, the how you function. I am, as the omniscient being in the room, am going to ask the questions. And Holly is going to give us her travel agent insight. So, let's start with the obvious. Holly, what is a carry-on?
Well, a carry-on is a particular size of bag that you are allowed to take on your airplane to stash in the overhead compartment above your seat. So carry-on means very different things depending on which airline you're flying with. Most of our guests are flying Southwest. So Southwest's rules, this would be a carry-on. This is 24 inches by 16 inches by 10 inches, and that is the acceptable dimensions on Southwest. This bag is slightly smaller and would very nearly make the cutoff for JetBlue legally. I've probably taken this bag as a carry-on on JetBlue and not had a problem, but it is technically 2 inches long because too long because of the wheels. A carry-on can be different things depending on what kind of trip you're taking. If you're taking a short trip or even a long trip and you're a very efficient packer, a carry-on can be the largest suitcase that you're taking on your trip with you. On each airplane, you also have the option to take a personal item. That can be anything from a normalish size backpack to an oversized purse to, you can take a wristlet if you want as your personal item. But if you do, you're really not maximizing the amount of space that you have at your disposal. So these would fall into the personal item category. Sometimes I might take this as a personal item and this as my carry-on depending on the trip. But a lot of times we're going to take this as the personal item. The more you can maximize your space and use that carry-on capacity to your advantage, the easier it's going to be for you to travel and get to your destination quickly. It shouldn't take a lot of thought to realize that if you have to check a bag, you also have to wait for the bag. So it means a couple of things. If I can't pack in this size bag and I need to go to the larger bag because I have a longer trip, maybe I'm traveling with children and I just need the extra space. Maybe I need some clothing in particular. Maybe I'm going somewhere that's cold and I need sweaters and long pants and things like that that I just don't feel like I can cram into my carry-on. Then I might need to check my bag. I'm going to have to arrive at the airport early. Each airline has their own restrictions for what time they cut off accepting your checked baggage. It also means I'm going to have to go to baggage claim when I exit the airplane and wait probably 20 to 30 minutes for the bags to offload. Depending on how tight your schedule is, this is a step that you can avoid and save yourself about an hour on each leg of your trip.
All right, so next question, what am I allowed to actually put in my carry-on and what can I not bring with me on the plane?
Very good question. So let's start with what you can't put in your carry-on. The list is long if you look at the TSA.gov website, and that's where you should always go for your absolute final word on any of this information. This is merely a guideline. We are not the TSA, and we do not get to determine what's legal for you to take through airport security. Just keep in mind that every single thing in your carry-on must clear airport security. So the first thing that we cannot take through the airport security checkpoint is a full bottle of water, or a partial bottle of water, or any liquid in excess of 3.4 ounces in a single container. So this bottle has to be consumed outside of airport security or thrown away. You can take an empty bottle of any dimensions and fill it after security, and you can purchase water after security and take it on the plane with you. But that's no. While we're on liquids, full-size toiletries, nope, can't take them. Snow globes? Do not take your snow globe on the airplane. This is more than 3.4 ounces. It sounds crazy, but we used to do a gymnastics meet, and one of the prizes was a snow globe, and there were teams that used to fly in, and every year somebody's snow globe would get confiscated at the airport, and they would have to mail them to them. So it sounds insane, but it's true. Peanut butter. I know. It's nuts. This is a liquid per TSA. You cannot take it on the plane. I mean, I guess you could take a 3.4 ounce jar. Likewise, you cannot take provisions for peanut butter and jelly sandwich on your plane.
Except for bread. You can bring bread.
You can bring the bread, but everything else has got to stay home. This is actually a big deal for people traveling to Disney, which is our largest destination that we're sending clients to, because a lot of people will pack sandwiches if they have a large family. They'll pack sandwiches for the day for lunch so that they only have one meal to purchase in the parks. And taking peanut butter and jelly and whipping up those sandwiches in the morning is a really big deal for a lot of our guests. But if this is something that you want to do, you are going to need to check a bag.
Or get your peanut butter
once you arrive. Right, which depending on your arrangements can be a little bit difficult because not every gift shop that you go to at Disney has things like peanut butter and jelly. They'll have different kinds of snacks and...
But what you can do is order yourself some peanut butter and jelly on Amazon.
You can, and have it shipped to yourself.
And have it shipped to yourself.
There are delivery fees, and we'll talk about those in a different episode because they vary a little bit depending on where you're staying. And also strategies for getting groceries using places like Garden Grocer, and we can do we'll do an entire show on that.
Either way, it's going to be cheaper than wasting your peanut butter and jelly because airport security said either you have to eat it or throw it away.
You don't need a candle on the plane, or anything flammable for that matter. You can bring one lighter per person. So if you are a smoker, or if you have candles at your destination that you're going to want to light, or a fire of some sort, please don't burn down Disney World. You can take a lighter, but you really shouldn't take anything that's actually would keep a flame like a candle. Tools. No tools are allowed on the airplane in the passenger compartment. Check your tools. Just in case you think you're going to need to build something in your room.
Hashtag check your tools. You can find us on Twitter at TMY Magical Minute. Hashtag check your tools.
Candy. Now, I take lifesavers through airport security in my purse all the time, and I've never had an issue. However, this has never been an issue for us flying out of Baltimore Washington International, which is our chief airport. It has been a problem flying back home through Orlando International, and a lot of families have gotten stopped after Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party with large quantities of candy coming back in their carry-on. The airport was alerted by TSA that there was some potential for drug smuggling activity in large quantities of candy. So it's best to check your candy especially if you're coming home from the Orlando area. Other places you're not going to find as much of an issue with it. This is definitely a localized problem. If you're flying internationally, any sort of homemade treats cannot be actually in any of your luggage. You can't take things that are homemade from one country to another, or perishable items like fruits and vegetables. There are exceptions to that. There are narrow windows where it's allowed, but just err on the side of caution. Everything you take should be packaged from a store if you're traveling with food. And these are just... one more. Giant scissors. The TSA does allow you to take a 4-inch bladed scissor on the plane, so if you need something like medical scissors or something like that, you can take them. These are far too large. They do not need to go with you if you're crafting or you need to buy scissors wherever you're going. Okay, these are just things that are ridiculous in my carry-on. Like, this bag is enormous. So I used to keep my toiletries in this bag when we were doing checked luggage, and it really wasn't an issue because it was plenty of space for full-size shampoo bottles and soap bottles and whatever. To try to pack something like this in your carry-on, it takes up way too much real estate. So you want to go with something that's a little smaller, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And what I want to show you in the bag that's the Yes bag is how we went from this bag plus this bag plus this bag and pared it down to a point where it's a little bit more reasonable. So let me repack this terrible bag that can't ever go through airport security. I mean, I guess we could send it through, but it would get confiscated. It's not a very happy start to my trip.
I mean, I feel like if you brought that bag on your trip, you'd have more problems.
Well, for one thing, there are no clothes in it, so that's problem number one.
I just feel like there'd be a lot more problems. Like, you get there and you're like, okay, I have peanut butter jelly and a snow globe.
Right. I'm good to go, man. I can watch my snow, condition my hair, and eat my peanut butter and jelly not on a sandwich. I'm in business. So, in our bag of yes. Let's see what kind of fun things that we have in here. So, one of these lovely little pillows. You can take one of these babies along. If this helps you sleep, you are some kind of miracle person. This does not necessarily need to be inside my carry-on bag. It does squish up very, very small, and at some point in time it had a bag that was with it, and you can actually put it in the bag and tie it on the side and have it not count as some of your real estate inside. Like I said, we will get back to these in a minute, but for now, they're in my way. So, other things I might want to have with me on the plane, and some of these are very destination specific. So, for example, I'm going to Disney World. I want to put my pins, my trading pins, in my bag. These are perfectly fine to have on the airplane. The TSA has determined that you cannot actually stab anyone with them. What's the pin, like a 1/4 of an inch on the back of it? They've decided that you're not dangerous if you have pins. Fun little, just fun travel things I like to keep with me. A cell phone sling. This is really super fun as long as you're going someplace where you don't mind looking like a total tourist. But that's definitely something I'd want to have accessible when I land, and certainly no issue getting it through TSA. Depending if I'm traveling internationally, I might want something like a money belt where I would have extra storage for valuables like my passport, things that I want to keep safe and not have any risk of interaction with pickpockets. We talked about taking that empty water bottle through security, because once you get through the TSA checkpoint, there will be water fountains and you can refill these bottles and have your drink with you. And it could be just a regular plastic bottle. I had this one laying around and then threw it in there. I like to have things like emergency ponchos with me. You never know when you're going to get caught in a rainstorm. It could be leaving the airport, and here you are with tons of luggage and you're trying to deal with yourself and your life and your people that are with you, and you're getting wet. Okay. Solve that problem.
With that being said, I'm just going to say, if you are also checking a bag, you want to realize that that checked bag may not make it to you before you enter the park.
Which brings us to our next point. Things I want to have in my bag just in case I have checked a bag and it's not there. I want to make sure that I have some sort of swimwear. I might want to hop in the pool when I get to my resort. My luggage could be 4 to 5 hours behind me if I'm using luggage delivery to a Disney resort. I want to pack a change of clothes. Of course, my clothing should have Minnie Mouse on it in some respect. And of course, I might want to check different pants or bottoms than what I'm wearing currently. So let's say I was traveling in sweatpants because the plane is cold. I'm definitely going to need my shorts when I get to the park. So you definitely want to think about the weather in the place you're leaving from, on the plane, and at the park, and make sure that you do have adequate provisions for the entire day. Likewise, maybe I just wanted to, do a fun skirt for the day or something. Well, I want some leggings so that when I'm on the plane, I don't freeze to death. I want to pack maybe a spare pair of shoes. No problem with these going through airport security, even though you need to take off your shoes in order to go through the scanners yourself. You can put shoes in your checked bag and they will sail through with no problem. If I'm headed to the park right away, I definitely want my mouse ears handy. So I'm going to keep those in my carry-on. There's nothing in there that's going to spark TSA, make them get crazy. You can take your mouse ears with you, no problem.
And if you want a pair of mouse ears, just like the ones that Holly has,
that's these exact mouse ears,
you can get them at Main Street or Bust, and I will put the link for them down below. And I can personally guarantee that each pair is handmade and crafted to the best of my ability.
And they're super comfy. They do not squeeze your head.
Yes.
I like to do buttons when we're in the park. So we have, some with all kinds of fun different sayings. So you might want to pack your buttons in your carry-on. Again, even though these have a pin on the back, TSA has determined that they are not a threat. I mean, who would threaten somebody with a Chewy We're Home button? That'd be terrible. If you're traveling internationally, you might need something to adapt the plugs that you're going to plug in to the plug that's available to you in your room. These multi-adapters are super convenient. They go to US plugs, UK plugs, and European Union plugs. So as long as you're traveling anywhere in Europe, this is going to be sufficient for you. There are some countries that do not use one of these three, so you would need to do a little bit of research depending on the location you're traveling to. Likewise, if I'm going to a foreign country, I want to have some local currency on me for when I land. Whether you get this at the airport, order it ahead of time, maybe get it from your bank. Definitely want to land with at least a couple dollars in my pocket. I might need to give someone a gratuity, and I don't want to be standing there with only American dollars and having them think that I'm not a good person. Likewise, overnight flights. You cannot get a toothbrush or toothpaste in the airport prior to getting through customs, border security, all of that stuff. So if you're taking an overnight flight, you'll be very glad that you have a toothbrush in your carry-on when you land. If you did need to check a bag, a handy-dandy luggage scale would be a great thing to have with you in your carry-on so that you can check the weight. All airlines have weight restrictions on your checked bag, and sometimes it results in substantial extra fees if you go over their weight limit. So these are things you need to check directly with your airline. The size of the carry-on, the weight limit on your checked bag. Some of the checked bags have actual size limits as well. Most commercially available luggage is going to fit most of the airlines you're likely to travel. You will get into trouble with some of those requirements if you're traveling intra-European airlines or if you're traveling certain Asian airlines, where especially the carry-on sizes are considerably smaller. Like, we're talking, like, this would be your carry-on size. So you definitely don't want to purchase a carry-on thinking it's okay for everything and then find out, oops, not. Obviously, I wear glasses. I want to take a spare pair of glasses with me, sunglasses, anything that I'm going to need that's eyewear, that's medical. Anything medical can be in your carry-on. There are exemptions for the liquids rule even.
So here's my little, this is everything that I know about airplanes and carry-ons because I'm afraid to fly. For all my nursing mamas out there, you can absolutely 100% every time bring your breast pump, no matter what. You can also bring as much milk as you may have pumped or may have needed or anything. Just be aware that it does have to be frozen when you hit the checkpoint. Also, your ice pack has to be completely frozen. You cannot bring a gel ice pack that's not frozen all the way. It has to be completely frozen. So just keep that in mind when you are going to go through, that you want to make sure you're not there 4 hours early and your ice pack has defrosted. If you find out that your flight is delayed or something like that and all of a sudden everything's thawing, go talk to someone. More than likely they will be able to at least put your milk in a refrigerator for you, because we all know how important it is. Believe you me, I know. It does not count as a personal item or a carry-on. It is a
Completely
medical
separate
equipment item. And even if they tell you they don't know if you can bring it on, federal law states that you can. Do not let them convince you that you can't.
Right. The same would go for any other medical machinery, like a CPAP machine or anything like that as well. So you may have to politely disagree with the agent that's that's working that day, but those are exemptions to some of the rules that are out there.
Also, be forward with them. I know that right now breast pumps are made to not look like breast pumps, because obviously we don't want everyone to know that the thing that we're lugging around on our back is a breast pump. So just be forward with them and be like, hey, this is my breast pump, not, hey, this is a bag, now have fun searching it. But be aware that you have to be careful of what you're sticking in your bag, because, for example, I used to always keep hand cream in my breast pump bag. And if your hand cream is too large, it'll still get flagged.
Right.
You've just got to be aware of that. So don't ever check your breast pump, because if your bag doesn't make it, you're going to be in a lot of pain, and you're going to probably have a really upset baby if you're an exclusive pumper.
Yeah.
But that is allowed. Just so you know, I know that there's forums and groups online if you have more questions about it, because it's one of those weird things that nobody talks about.
Yep. You can also comment below if you have a question, and if we don't know an answer to something and you ask us a question, we'll be happy to research it for you.
Yep,
and
definitely
give you our best response to it. Once again, like we said at the top of the show, TSA is the ultimate authority in what the guidelines are. So these are just guidelines. These are things that we've learned over the course of traveling that we're helping you to be aware of. But make sure that you do consult both your airline's website for the exact baggage dimensions, the exact rules for what is personal item carry-on and checked baggage, and also TSA.gov for the absolute up-to-date rules, because they do change from time
And
to time.
also double check, even if you're like, oh, well, it's medical equipment, double check what their list of medical equipment is, because
Right.
just because you view it as medical equipment doesn't necessarily mean that it's considered medical equipment for them. So just
and the airline may have a restriction. Like, they may allow you to go down the jetway on a wheelchair to get to your seat. They might not let you take one of those rolly scooters down the jetway, and it might be for liability reasons because of the gap in between the jetway and the plane. I don't know what their reasons are. Just make sure that if you have a special situation, that you either reach out to us to help you, or that you check in advance to find out what the rules are.
Like there are even some airlines where you have to completely take off your pump if you have insulin resistance diabetes, and have it scanned before you can go on. So just like look it up. If you have any questions about your specific medical equipment and your specific airline, feel free to call them.
Mm-hmm.
They have people there who will answer all those questions for you. Because the last thing you want to do is end up not making your flight because...
You don't want to be on that list.
Well, it's not even that, but like because you're bringing something and all of a sudden you don't have room for it, but you feel it's a necessity and the airline doesn't.
Right. Absolutely. Magic bands. If Disney is your destination, you need to have these either in your personal item, in your carry-on. Better still, just put them on your wrist a while, because, I mean, why not start the fun from home that morning? I think this is a really fun reveal kind of thing, too, because Disney sends you this box it just looks plain and boring on the outside, and on the inside it's all decorated nicely, and it says something about magical vacation, something or other. I never read it. I yank that sucker open, grab the magic bands out of it, and I'm rolling. But it's a very nice scene inside. You could use that very nicely as a reveal. You could just have the kids get up one morning and say, okay guys, I need you to open this box. And inside, bam, there are your magic bands. Oh, put them on, we're going to Disney right now. So it's a really nice tool to use that box as your reveal.
If you decide to wear your magic band, don't take it off. Don't leave it places.
No.
It's a bad plan. If you happen to, Disney will replace it for you. But you don't get to pick your color.
I dropped mine in the driveway on my way to the airport one morning.
And do you end up with a gray magic band?
No, I got a blue one.
Ooh.
Yeah. Coronado Springs for the win.
It's because they feel bad about being perpetually under construction forever.
Maybe. We had a nice stay there, honestly. I would recommend them. Electronics. Electronics need to be in your carry-on. Anything that has, what's the kind of battery?
Lithium ion.
That's the one. If it has a lithium ion battery, it may not be in your checked luggage. And the reason being is that because just a couple months ago, someone's lithium ion battery in their camera exploded inside Orlando International Airport and shut down the airport for 5 hours. Imagine if that had been in someone's checked bag. Everybody freaked out as it was. I can't even imagine the catastrophe if it was in the checked bag. Obviously, if your lithium-ion battery would, by some freak of nature, catch on fire, you would much rather have that happen in the passenger section of the airplane than down in the cargo hold where nobody knows about it until it catches fire and explodes. So lithium-ion battery items, electronics, they need to be inside your carry-on. When you're taking them through security, they need to come out of your carry-on. So the only thing that can stay in your carry-on or your personal item that is electronic in nature is your cell phone or a device of similar size. I can't even think of another device that's similar size, but I don't know.
An iPod.
iPod. Okay, so iPod phone.
Or
what about
music
those?
Player.
It's not called a
Nintendo
Game Boy.
Switch.
That's it. Yeah, it's not called a Game Boy anymore.
Game Boys, if you're old school
You
and you're
still
like,
have
I'm
your
going to
Game
play some
Boy.
Pokemon Yellow on this plane.
Then you can take that, leave it in your bag. But iPads, laptops, everything like that needs to come out and go in a separate bin. You can put, like my husband has a Kindle, I have an iPad, you can put them both in the same bin. They're not touching or overlapping, and they can scan them clearly, you're good to go.
So maybe this is a good point where you're like, hey, maybe I should put all my electronics in my purse so I can access them.
Right.
And not have to pull all my underwear out of my carry-on.
In fact, as my personal item, my tablet case works really splendidly because then my iPad just lives right here. It's very easy. Bam, pop it out. Also, my bag of liquids is going to stay in my personal item. Anything I have to take out at airport security, for me, is going to stay in my personal item and not in my carry-on bag.
And then for people like me who have to bring a computer, a camera, another camera, a third camera, my phone, a set of headphones, because Lord knows I'm
You're
editing
gonna want
on that
this as your
plate.
personal item.
Yeah, then I carry a backpack.
Right. I don't know, another useful thing, cooling towel. Obviously you can't take it through
I
with
had no idea what that was at first. I was like,
it's a scarf. This is a cooling towel. So you make it wet with cold water and you put it around your neck and it's fabulous. So this would be another thing that you might want to toss in your carry-on. Maybe you need it when you get to the... In addition to taking your electronics, you're going to want your charging cable. I don't know what it is. When you're sitting in an airport, the batteries on these things will run down in like 5 seconds. So I don't know what kind of force field is out there, but make sure you've got some sort of charging along with you. Most airports now are upgrading to where they have USBs like beside every seat, which is super convenient. I think some of the terminals at BWI, they still have like 3 plugs for a plane of 60 people. And it's kind of comical actually. Everybody's like crowded around the outlet. I always travel with a small first aid kit. Remember, in my first aid kit, I'm not going to want to have anything that's liquid. But things that I like to have with me on pretty much a trip-by-trip basis, I always take a pack of cough drops. With the plane being very dry, sometimes that can go a long way to help with a little bit of a scratchy throat that results in that. Q-tips. Medications. This one's kind of... Obviously, it's going to be your preference. I would advise against having a tremendous number of random over-the-counter medications that you keep in your bag on a regular basis because they're going to expire without you realizing it. So you invest, like, let's say, for example, I keep Sudafed, Pepto-Bismol, and what else do we keep in there? Imodium and Advil and Claritin. So if I was buying, an entire box to fill my first aid kit, my little medical kit, I would probably spend, $30 on all of those things? Well, chances are I'm going to need one of them, like, every 10 trips. So if I need one of them and I have to pay, $17 for one, I didn't pay $30 for all of them. So I think it's important to balance those and not buy out the entire drugstore because, oh my god, I might need this and I'll be stranded on Disney property. First of all, you're not stranded because you can get an Uber to Walmart for about $9. Second, even if you do feel stranded and you don't want to get an Uber, you don't trust it, whatever, don't want to pay for a cab, you can go down to the gift shop. Disney does have most normal over-the-counter medications available behind their desks in the gift shop. So you have access to these even if you don't pack them.
Also, it should be noted that a bottle of NyQuil is more than 3.4 ounces.
Yeah.
Well, I think that people don't necessarily think of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're the kind of person like me who takes
Liquid
ZQuil to go to sleep at night, especially after I've been hyped up for an entire day, that is more than 3.4 ounces and you need to get the pills.
Yeah. Or you need to check it. You can go either way. I mean, if you want to take a check bag, you can take that full-size bottle of conditioner, go for it. You can take your NyQuil. You can take whatever you want. Check TSA.gov. Small scissors, fine in your carry-on.
Don't put animals
don't put animals. No, or your carry. Just, if you take an animal, you need to tell somebody that you have it. Small scissors are fine. Again, 4 inches is the limit. Now, it's funny, they do not say if 4 inches is from the pivot point to the tip of the blade, or if it's the length of the blade, or if it's the length of the entire scissor. So, use your best judgment. These are more than 4 inch of the actual blade. They are shorter than 4 inches to the pivot point, and these go through fine most times for me. So, I don't want to say for forever because I'll get stopped the next time. I always like some first aid gauze and things like that, and of course Band-Aids. Now, I do keep a couple of other things, but they have to go in the liquids section. So the first aid kit has to be split just a little bit in order to make it through TSA. And the last item in our bag is the toiletry kit. Very important, obviously, if I'm traveling with no checked luggage and I'm going carry-on only, I'm going to need some place to store all of the things that I need on a daily basis. So this bag, I told you we'd get back to these, has replaced all 3 of these. It's much more flexible, and everything that was in these to be separated by compartment has its own space in here. Like I said, I just got this bag a couple months ago. I've only taken 1 trip with it, and I love it already. So it unzips and rolls down. So when I get to the hotel, I'm going to be able to hang this on a towel hook or a door or whatever. And I have very separated spaces. In the top pouch, for me that works best for hair accessories. It has a little mirror in there so you can actually take it out and see the back of your head, which is pretty cool. You know, normal things you would need to do your hair in the morning. Comb, hair ties, headbands, whatever you want. In the next section, we have things we might need on a daily basis. And I'm missing one? No, it's down there. Okay. We have taken to, with traveling, using bar soap, or bar conditioner, bar soap, bar shampoo. It just gives a little bit more space in the liquids bag. Lets me take more things that are kind of creature comforts.
And I'll link a couple different places where you can get solid shampoo. I know it's not something that a lot of people are even familiar with it existing.
But it smells so nice.
It is.
It's just really,
it's really convenient for a lot of different reasons. You don't have to put it in your liquids bag if you fly. It also weighs less. If things like that matter, if you're a hiker, that's a big deal.
Yes.
So I'll put some links down below at different places that you can get solid shampoo or solid conditioner.
Yep. Very, very good. I like to take for the parks, especially friction defense, because everybody's got a little patch of skin that rubs against another patch of skin and makes you very unhappy by the end of the day. This can save your life. It is a solid. It does not need to go in your liquid compartment. Likewise, a solid deodorant would not need to go in your liquids compartment. Of course, a bar soap. Technically, this razor is not allowed by TSA because it's detachable. Guess what? I've taken it on every flight that I've flown on in the last 5 years and have never once had it confiscated.
That being said, a lot of these are things that people don't think about. If you're a totally hip and awesome guy who happens to shave with a straight razor, you cannot bring it anywhere near the airport. Don't
even bring it near the airport check-in desk. No. They'll get nervous.
Don't even walk in the airport with it. Just observe the fact that you're either going to have to be fully bearded or you're going to have to figure something else out. You're going to have to make alternative arrangements
while you're traveling. If you happen to be going to Disney, there is a store called The Art of Shaving at Disney Springs, and you can probably either purchase a straight razor there, which I don't know what you'll do with it when you come home, maybe ship it to yourself. I think they will even shave you there, so that would be an option. Now, the liquids, the important stuff. This is the one you've been waiting for. You can take any container that is 3.4 ounces or smaller. You can take as many of these as you can cram into one quart bag. That's this. It's this. It is not this. This is a gallon. Okay? Make sure you have the right bag size. TSA will take your stuff. They're mean. So, everything else that I have in my life that is liquid needs to fit in this bag. This is 3.4 ounces.
Which just goes to show you how much packaging there really is.
There really is, yeah.
Deodorant.
I know, right? This is 3.2 ounces. The container itself has to be less than 3.4 ounces. You cannot take a standard tube of toothpaste. This is 1.8 ounces, I think. 2.8 ounces. A standard tube of toothpaste is 6-ish ounces. It doesn't matter if half the tube is left and you've rolled down the end. No, it doesn't work. They'll take it from you. They're mean, like I said. 3 ounces of sunscreen. If you need sunscreen in your carry-on, you need to find yourself about this size or a whole bunch of these little 1-ouncers. Either way. I keep Icy Hot around like it's going out of style because I hurt myself a lot. So this is 2 ounces of Icy Hot. It's pretty much the standard size. I don't know that you can get them too much bigger than that, but just check your sizes before you throw them in there.
And just to be aware, in case you are super interested in going to a liquid-free lifestyle, you can get Icy Hot in a solid. You can even get mouthwash tabs that dissolve in your mouth, and they're weird, but you get used to them eventually. You can get solid sunscreen.
So if the solid shampoo is a no-go for you, there are other ways that you can swap out. You can put your liquid shampoo in here in small quantities and then maybe do one of these other things in a solid instead. 3.2 ounces. Listerine, and then other things that I always keep. Like I said, I hurt myself all the time, so Neosporin's it's got to be in there somewhere. Luckily, the tube is squishable; it always fits. I love this little lotion, mint foot lotion. They sell this at Disney. It's just, like nothing feels better than this. Yeah, nothing feels better than this at the end of the day on your feet. And Orajel. Had a toothache one time while I was at Disney. I don't travel without the Orajel anymore. So. That is everything that goes in my carry-on. To be honest, like to be full disclosure, not all of these things typically go in my carry-on, but these are just ideas. They're things that might be beneficial to you to put in. Maybe there's something, there are 60,000 other things that you could put in your carry-on if you feel like you need them that would be TSA compliant and perfectly acceptable to take on an airplane. It's just a matter of reading those rules at tsa.gov, making yourself familiar with them so you don't have any surprises when you get to the airport.
Also, be aware that it's not all toiletries and first aid. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with type 1 diabetes. If you are one of those people who carries icing, if that sounds stupid, then you know you haven't flown with someone who has type 1 diabetes. If you're one of those people who carries icing, it has to go in your liquids. Because they aren't going to look at that and think it's a medical supply. That's one of those things that has to go in your liquids. And you're going to want to keep it on your personal item because if you need the icing, you're not going to want to dig through your carry-on to get to it. Things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Things like that also become important as far as strategy inside the cabin, what you want to have where. You wouldn't want to have something that you might need to get to in an emergency in your carry-on because if you hit potential turbulence areas, the seatbelt sign will stay lit and you're really not supposed to be getting up and getting things out of your carry-on at that time because falling items, if you hit turbulence unexpectedly, could injure someone else on the plane. So the flight attendants are not going to be happy with you if you get out of your seat to get something out of your carry-on that's stowed above. So if you do have any emergency supplies like that you need to keep with you for medical reasons, they do need to be in your personal item under the seat in front of you so you can reach them very quickly.
All right, so that is all of the questions that I have for Holly about carry-ons. Hopefully you feel more educated now. I think that the main focus here is listen to the TA people and check ahead of time. That's important.
Yes.
So we are going to see you again next week with another segment from Ask an Agent where we're going to ask another super interesting question that a lot of people ask travel agents and, we just feel like maybe we should put it out there to the public so that they can find it. So we will see you next time and we hope that you have a magical rest of your day.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye-bye.